me falling to my knees praising Jesus in a Target parking lot. It wasn't a trick. Hugh is in the fork. Someone trapped him in there. They trapped his whole unit in cutlery. You have to believe me. They're war heroes and they need our help. Hello, my friends. It's Kaylee, and this is Read Rant Review. I read books and I give you a beat-by-beat, chapter-by-chapter breakdown of them. Today we are continuing our lighthearted utensil romance. We are on book number 2. It is called Spooned by Ruth Cardello. In case you missed it, I think it was last week or the week before, I did the first book in the series called Forked. In short, what it is are these World War II super soldiers that there's like an experiment or some mystery event goes wrong, and this unit of super soldiers turns into cutlery that a woman finds at an estate sale. 80 years later, she buys said silverware, and then now she and all of her little friends go around feeling these utensils and seeing like which one speaks to them. So this is book number 2. Like I said, Spooned by Ruth Cardello, 3.88 on Goodreads, and currently has 1,000 reviews. I thought this was so freaking cute. I'll go ahead and read you the book description. It's only 176 pages. Genuinely just like something fun and goofy to get you out of your reading slump, we'll say. Just another case of forking leading to spooning. When a World War II super soldier trapped in cutlery discovers he can transform back into a man by being intimate with a woman, he seeks to free the rest of his unit via some unconventional matchmaking. But how do you find a woman willing to take a chance on a spoon? Cheryl isn't prepared to hear her friend is getting it on with a fork, or that her friend's hot fiancé is the result. Cheryl wants nothing to do with their cutlery kink until she holds the spoon for the first time and it feels meant to be. The dating pool has proven unsatisfying. Battery-operated devices don't cuddle you afterward. Your friend claims a kind-hearted, huge super soldier is trapped in your spoon and only you can free him. Wouldn't you give it a try? Just once? Just to make sure? Yeah, so that's where we are today. This is gonna be so goofy silly, such a goofy silly needed time. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I'm just here to have some laughs with you. It's something. We're gonna cover the whole series on here, don't worry. I'll do Knifed next. Yeah. I don't know, hang out. We'll see what happens. If you remember in the first book, Mercedes is the main female character. She was living in an apartment complex. She had a crush on a neighbor, was trying to like hit on him at first up until this, fork turned into a man. And then eventually she ended up befriending said neighbor and kind of getting in with his friend group. Part of his friend group were some very, very smart ladies, Cheryl and I can't remember the other woman's name yet, but she's the main love interest in book number 3. By the end of book 1, Mercedes was talking to Cheryl and asking her to do some research about Project Inkwell. That's the name of the super soldier unit. It's also the name that's on the little plaque thing that's on the cutlery box. So Project Inkwell. Okay, cool. So she's been doing all this research. At some point between book 1 and book 2, Mercedes called Cheryl down to her apartment and she said, "Hey girl, you got to check this out. This is pretty crazy." And so we open up book number 2 with Cheryl talking to Greg, right? Her friend. They've been friends for a long time. This is the first time that they've hung out one-on-one though. And because she has to confront him about his weird ass neighbor and figure out what the heck, why he would introduce them, like what's going on, right? And just kind of being like, hey, is she normal? Because she does not seem normal. Like she seems pretty unwell. So as she's trying to have this conversation with Greg, it goes a little awry because again, right, they haven't hung out together outside of their friend group. And so this man being invited into this attractive single woman's house who he's friends with, and she starts talking about weird, about being single and, what kind of weird things you'd be willing to do to find if there is true love out there. And he thinks that she's putting the move on him, right? But what she's really saying is He doesn't understand. How could he? I have a spoon in my purse that Mercedes and Hugh tried to convince me harbors a World War II super soldier. It's in my purse, and I can't stop thinking about it. I don't know why I took it. Mercedes started telling me some wild story about having sex with a fork and how that had brought them together, and I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I don't care what the two of them do in the privacy of their bedroom or if it involves cutlery, but I should have told them that I wasn't interested in joining their kink club. Instead of calmly handing the spoon back to Mercedes, I bolted with it, and now here I am, wondering who is more mentally troubled, them for their little utensil obsession, or me for letting this become a bigger issue than it should be. Oh no! And so as she's trying to dance around this topic with Greg, he thinks that she's hitting on him. He goes to kiss her, and she's like, wow, I don't feel any sparks at all. This really, really sucks. Kind of kicks him out of the room. It's really awkward. He takes it in grace, though, and he just gets out of there, mostly just confused about what the heck is going on. We then get a little bit more information about Cheryl. She's incredibly intelligent, a little scientist girly pop, like we said, and is dealing a lot with this idea, for someone so intelligent, you don't make smart decisions. My mother's words echo in my head because they fit this situation, as well as the one she called me out on recently. Through her academic connections, she landed me an interview with a major pharmaceutical company. I could be putting my degree in biostatistics to use by researching how to cure diseases rather than wasting it analyzing financial trends for those who already have too much. She made me promise to think about it, and I did only because I wanted out of the conversation. I see a pattern in my behavior, and I don't like it. Sometimes it's like I'm two people. The one I feel like I should be, and the other who sits back and marvels at all the stupid shit I do. And I felt her character was so incredibly relatable for a lot of reasons, and for a lot of I don't know what I want to do with my life, growing up and being academically smart, but maybe lacking in some other areas, or being a gifted child and young teen and then not getting any fulfillment out of your intelligence or feeling like you're ever achieving enough. And just some really interesting kind of commentary that I related to quite a bit through this book. I thought was really interesting. But anyway, after this kerfuffle, we'll say, what a dramatic word to use right there. But this thing with Greg, she says, okay, screw Greg, screw men. Obviously there's some other stuff going on, and this spoon thing's really goofing me up. So she opens the junk drawer, and she tosses the spoon in. She shuts it. Done. Not worth further thought or consideration. Just writes them all off. Mercedes is crazy. Hugh is crazy. And she just kind of messed up this friendship with Greg. When we go into chapter 2, we get Jack's POV, Boston, Massachusetts, 1941. He is being recruited similarly to the way that Hugh was in book number 1. He has a disability. He is blind, and he is one of his caretakers. It's a long, I guess I'll start from the top. So he was born blind into this very, very rich family. Once his dad finally accepted, okay, my son cannot see, he completely disowned him. He was like, I don't have any kids. I don't have any children, until the younger brother was born. And then that was the only son that the father claimed. And it was just really, really crappy. But his mom raised him as best as she could. And and his mother's driver, right? Her driver had been working for the family since before he was born. He stepped in to kind of take care of him, show him the ropes, kind of fathered him in a way. His name is, and kind of fathered him and just really kind of stepped it up, right? So come wartime, the dad goes overseas. The younger brother goes overseas. Jack can't because he's blind, obviously. So the driver, he steps in. Now he's kind of the man of the household, taking care of the mom, taking care of Jack, the grounds, just everything, right? Really, really steps up, really, really admirable, awesome. He ends up finding a flyer, the same flyer that Hugh had found, talking about, with a fierce eagle on it, saying, Uncle Sam needs every bird in the air. Support the troops by learning a specialized skill. With your help, we will be invincible. Sign up today and save the world. With the promise that anybody of any type of, disability or otherwise would be able to, right? They'll find something for you to be able to fight the good fight. He decides he's going to do this. On the flyer, it gives you a little address, and the mom makes the decision that she's going to drive her son to this so that he can join the war efforts. And he gets a little bit upset about it because she's like, hey, do you want me to walk you down the alleyway? Like, I know you have your walking stick, but it's really, really dark down there, and I don't know, I don't see any doorways. I'm not sure how you're going to get there. He says, no. I straighten, grab my walking stick, and open the car door. Don't linger. It might not be safe. You should have allowed Farley to drive me. Farley being the driver. Her voice has a familiar firmness when she says, I will remain here for 30 minutes. If you do not return to tell me all is well, I have a revolver and I will go in there for you. I don't fear death either, not when it comes to my own son. After a moment, she adds, if this goes badly and Farley had taken you, I wouldn't have been able to forgive him, and that wouldn't have been fair to him. No, it wouldn't. I answer quietly. Integrity, loyalty, self-discipline, my mother has it all. And the way, like, his dynamic with his mom is so cute in this book. Genuinely, another one, dude. Just a cutesy little book. So with that, he changes his name. He's going to go by Jack Sully instead of Jackson Chatfield. That's his, like, actual name. He's like, that's a little bit too pretentious. So Jack Sully. It's a good name. It's a strong name. And he's on his way to join the military, this underground, skeevy military situation. In chapter 3, we're back to Cheryl's POV. And I'm going to give you a trigger warning. So heads up. She has just gotten home from a bar where her drink had been drugged. She caught it like immediately after it happened. And so she's now home after the fact. She's safe. Like, nothing happened to her other than obviously being drugged. But she was not, like, harmed in any way beyond that. But it is, like, objectively an incredibly triggering chapter if you choose to read this book. And it would have been kind of nice. It would have been really nice, actually, to have a heads up about it, because the way that this is, like, recounted is a lot. So I'm not going to talk about it. I will just say that it is done very, very well, and it is done in such a, like, heartbreaking way of her having to deal with not being in control of her own body and her memories and things that are happening around her. So just trigger warning for that. I'm going to talk about it a tiny bit more right now, and then we'll kind of press on, okay? But like I'm trying to keep this as, like, wave tops as I possibly can. So she, like I said, she gets home from this bar thing. She started feeling the effects almost immediately. Told the bartender got her into an Uber and the Uber was going to go to the hospital. She redirected it last second because she didn't want to deal with it. Like, I think it was kind of like a shame thing almost, where she didn't want to admit that this had happened to her. And so she just wanted to go to her apartment and deal with it. And then in doing so is, like, forgetting if she showered yet, or forgetting why she was on the ground. Or she's like, I thought I just cleaned this up, but I didn't. And I don't know where my phone is. Having all these, like, really panicky, horrible thoughts. And it's like her life is happening in, like, clicks, like little photos. And then it'll, like, rewind 30 seconds. And then it's like you kind of jump forward and rewind, and you're, like, viewing it in, like, little photographs. It's really, again, explained in a very good way. At some point, though, she's thinking about how much that she doesn't want to be alone in this moment, but she has nobody to call and she has nobody to talk to. And she also doesn't really trust to be around anybody right now. And so she grabs the spoon out of the junk drawer because she's like, well, like, maybe this is a super soldier. Right? I wish. Holding the spoon up to my face, I say, God, this, like, hurts my heart so much. She says, if anyone's in there, I've got a secret for you, but you can't tell anyone. The only sign of movement I see in the spoon is my distorted reflection, but I continue anyway. I'm a strong, independent woman, but sometimes I don't want to be the strong one. Tonight I did something stupid and I'm scared. Tears well in my eyes. I know I'm not supposed to be scared. Women don't need men anymore. We don't need anyone. But I want someone to hold me and tell me everything is going to be okay. And I want to curl up on the lap of someone who loves me just the way I am. It's literally, like, so sad. Obviously, this spoon doesn't come to life or anything. So, still holding the spoon, I lay back against my pillows. You're lucky you're a spoon. Stay that way. Life is hard. I sigh. I feel like I have friends, but how many do I really have? I thought Greg was a friend, but now I think he only wants to fuck me. And I thought life would get easier as I got older, but it's so fucking confusing. Staying home is lonely. Going out isn't safe. People suck. I wrinkle my nose. You do too. I roll onto my side and place the spoon on the spare pillow. Stay here. I don't want to be alone if I wake up dead. Oh my god, dude. And the spoon just stays quiet. Sleep comes while I'm trying to convince myself that I'm neither scared nor lonely. And I said, oh my god, dude, I'm on page 21 and you have me feeling this much already. We're in chapter 3 and I feel like I just got the most like sad experience that I've like the most like emotional I think I've gotten reading a book in like quite a while actually. Oh my goodness gracious, dude. We cut into chapter 4 back in Jack's POV, 1942. It has been a few weeks since Jack has joined the Inkwell Project thing, since he answered that flyer. Since then, he has gotten injections and treatments and all of these other things, and he can see now. His eyes have changed colors. He is like a completely different person. He's a little bit stronger. He's always been fit. I guess this is the other part too that I think it's explained in this chapter. He's always been a good looking guy. He's always been strong. He's always been fit because Farley would like train him and didn't want him to be weak or to be picked on or to have any type of like, you know, anything that anybody could critique him on other than being blind. Like everything else, he wanted to be like 100% like successful in like whatever he did. And so Farley like trained him and he has like an Ivy League education. Disability has now been cured miraculously through these like crazy medication shot drug things. So he shows up. Farley is like, oh my God, this is, yeah, what do you even say to that, you know? So they're like, where have you been? Like, what's going on? And he's like, I can't tell you guys. I'm not even supposed to be here. I snuck out because we're about to go overseas and I couldn't leave and maybe go to my death without, and Farley says, without seeing your mother's face. And I said, oh my God. He literally came home just so he could see his mother's face. And so Farley is like, oh my God, like what in God's name have they done to you? And he says, again, arguably one of the hardest sentences in the world. He says, I don't believe this has anything to do with God. But then again, I don't think war ever does. God damn, is this the same series as the Spoon book or as the Fork book? What do you mean? I am like, oh my God. The other reason too, so he wants to see his mom's face. He also wants to say, hey, I'm okay. There's some stuff that's about to happen. They have to pretend that we're dead. Whatever this like mission that we're about to go on, they're going to say that I died in some tragic accident. The body's going to be unidentifiable, but they're going to say that it's me. But I need my mom to know that I'm not dead. I don't need her to worry about me or to think that I'm not coming home because I will come home. I promise. But just she needs to know. Goes and sees his mom. She realizes he can see. She's like overjoyed. It's this like very, very beautiful, tender moment. And he tells her about him coming home. And she says, I'll ensure that there is something for you when you return. Mom, you don't have to. She says, Jack, you'll need resources. You're different now and people won't accept that easily. Coming back here may not be possible for you unless you can pretend to be blind again. It's better to be prepared and underestimated than to stand out and invite the wrath of those stronger than you. And he's thinking, was that how she felt about my father? My fist clenched at my sides. If he ever laid a hand on her, it would be the last thing he did before meeting his creator. When I return, and I will, I'll build a home as grand as my father's and give my mother a safe place where she can be as outspoken as she pleases. I'll be careful, and I'll be back. She walks over and looks me in the eye. Don't forget to be kind as well. You've always had a good heart. No matter how strong they make you or how this war goes, don't let anyone take that from you. In chapter 5, Cheryl wakes up the next morning with some clarity on a few things. Mostly the realization of how dangerous the situation was last night and like how thankful she is that she is okay and how like horrifying of an experience that was. And also realizing that sleeping with a spoon next to your pillow is also kind of concerning. And so the first thing she does is to text Mercedes to see if she's home and then to return said spoon. So when she goes there, she knocks on Mercedes' door, she opens it and like is immediately looking around Cheryl like as if she was expecting somebody else to be there and is like really disappointed when it's just Cheryl. It says as much And then Cheryl's like, hey, hey, respect, like whatever you guys do, is between the two of you. And I want us to remain friends, but we need to have some boundaries about the things that we share. Like, I don't need or want to hear about your sex life, this whole cutlery thing. I don't want to be a part of it. We need to show her, Mercedes, Hugh says. I raise both hands. No, this is what I'm talking about. You don't need to show me anything. I'm not interested. Do it, Mercedes says. There's a quick flash and a fork clatters to the floor. Hugh is gone. I snap my head around looking for him, but there's no sign of him. They're into magic as well. And so Mercedes is like, no, it's not magic. He's literally a fork. I'm telling you, there's a super soldier in that spoon that you're holding. You're telling me you don't feel it? Cheryl is just like, okay, yeah, totally. If it's any consolation, this is like a very impressive illusion. It wasn't a trick. Hugh is in the fork. Someone trapped him in there. They trapped his whole unit in cutlery. You have to believe me. They're war heroes and they need our help. And so Cheryl's still in denial about all of this. And then Mercedes is like, okay, fine. I would show you the fork becoming Hugh again, but that requires me, us mutually pleasuring each other. Us? As in me and her? Oh, hell no. I'm sorry. I'm not into anything like that. Mercedes cuts in. She's like, no. Me and Hugh. Her smile is so amused and unthreatening. I wonder if this is a prank. It's the only way to bring him back. And so it goes back again in this entire thing. Mercedes is like, seriously, like, I'll take the spoon back, I guess, but you're telling me, like, you don't feel anything. You don't feel any connection to it. And Cheryl is like, I swear to God, I feel like I'm being filmed right now. Like, this has to be a prank. And hands it over to Mercedes, and Mercedes is looking at it, and she's like, wait a second. There's no scar. I make a face and retreat another step. She closes the distance between us. Look at Hugh's fork. She shows me a mark on the back and then holds up the spoon. Now look at the spoon. There's nothing. 0 marks. Maybe there's not one in this one. And she like begs Cheryl to come over with her, and is digging through the cutlery, because even though it's a full cutlery set, there's only 12 soldiers that were in the unit. So Mercedes goes through, like, flipping through each of these items to find which ones have, like, markings all over them. And she's like, yeah, so, like, if you feel these, like, each of these is going to have a guy in it, basically. And gives her a spoon that has a marking on it instead of, like, the one that she had last night that did not have one. You picking up what I'm putting down? And, she keeps refusing, obviously, because she's like, okay, Mercedes, even if I believed you, like, this is a crazy way to meet somebody. What are you talking about? Mercedes says, so you're open to meeting someone in unusual ways and willing to take a chance but not do this? Like, you'll go on a blind date, or you'll have, like, a friend recommend somebody to you and you just, like, show up somewhere to meet them? Like, you just want to meet people. Like, why is this any different? Cheryl says, it's hardly the same thing. Yeah, you're right. Anyone can meet someone online. You're being offered a chance to rescue a man who will adore you for it. A good, loyal, loving man. She says, please stop. I've heard enough. Mercedes says, it's okay to have reservations about this. In fact, I'd be worried about you if you didn't. But imagine having a Hugh of your own. Jack is tall. He towers over Hugh. A gentle giant, kind, strong. Hugh says Jack is an optimist, a family man. Sounds like someone who's worth taking a leap of faith for. Girl. She basically forces the spoon into Cheryl's hand. As soon as the spoon touches my skin, I feel the difference between it and the other spoon. It quickly warms to the heat of my hand. My fingers close around it and the oddest sensations curl through me. The marks on it are beautiful. I was meant to have this spoon. It's mine. Confused, I meet Mercedes's gaze. Are you hypnotizing me or something? Her smile widens. You feel it, don't you? The connection, the warmth. It's confusing and scary, but this means it'll work this time. My heart is racing as I proclaim, I'm not fucking a spoon. Mercedes holds out her hand. Okay, give it back. My fingers tighten on the handle of it. No. She's about to fuck a spoon. So she goes home and she's like, okay, you know what? Maybe this is the sign from the crazy universe that, like, I need to apply for that pharmaceutical job that my mom's trying to hook me up with. And so she pulls up the website to go and apply for it, and an ad for silverware pops up on my feed, and I hastily close it like it's porn. This book is, like, so dumb in such a fun way. Chapter 6, Jack's Perspective, 2024. He is in, like, an abyss, basically. this nothingness. Alone in the nothingness, I scream, but I am unable to make a sound. This isn't heaven, it's hell, and I'm trapped. It's hell because it was like all of this emptiness, and when Cheryl had touched him, he like felt the warmth of her, and she had washed him, and so he's like getting all these like sensations and feeling, and can like sense her when she's holding him, and then she like put him back in her drawer or something, and it goes back to being nothingness. And so he's like, this is literally torture. Like being here is torture. It's really, really sad. And in chapter 7, we're back into Cheryl's POV, and this time around, she is hanging out with her friend, Ashley. Ashley is the main female character in book number 3 called Knifed. They're besties. They're both scientists, super smart ladies. And so they're meeting up, and also obviously they like run in the same friend group. And so they're like getting caught up on their like whole dating situations. About how she's not really happy with Greg and the kind of awkwardness that happened with them. And Ashley's telling her about this other guy in the friend group that she's like kind of dating but wants to break up with and doesn't feel anything for. And, you know, she's opening up about not wanting to really apply for this job that her parents sent her but not really knowing what to do. And Ashley says to her, the only thing worse than being wrong is being indecisive. God damn. God damn. Okay. So then Cheryl goes on to tell her about her interaction with Mercedes. And she's like, hey, I was sworn to secrecy. Like, I'm not supposed to tell anybody about this, but I also like, I have to tell somebody about this. And Ashley's like, well, I'm your best friend. It's literally like, I'll take it to the grave with me. I don't count. I'm not somebody. Tell me what's up. What's going on? Give me the hot goss, you know? And so she tells her about all of this. And I thought this was like probably one of the most relatable characters that we've seen in one of these books. And so Cheryl says, Mercedes' fiance believes that he was part of a government testing program during World War II. Ashley blinks a few times quickly. So he's mentally unwell? That's sad. He has to be, right? I clear my throat. He doesn't just believe he was experimented on back then. He also thinks he was made into some kind of super soldier, and then she leans closer. When I give her a look, her eyes widen and her grin is unapologetic. What? I live on the conspiracy side of TikTok, purely for entertainment purposes. I shake my head. This is serious. Great. I'm seriously dying to hear what else he believes. He said the government turned him and his unit into silverware. The choked laughter Ashley lets out perfectly reflects how I felt when I had first heard the story. That's awesome. I'd be laughing along if I hadn't spent the last week feeling oddly attached to a spoon. A fork. He thinks he spent the last 80 years as a fork. What a great way to get rid of a super soldier while letting them remain useful. You're not taking this seriously. I need to know how he became a man again. She was intimate with him. What did you say? After clearing my throat, I raised my voice slightly. I'm not sure exactly what the process entailed, but Mercedes had sex with a fork and brought Hugh back. Ashley is now gurgling on laughter, and I get it. It's a preposterous story. I love everything about this. Mercedes can't leave our friend group. I need to hear this story from her. And, you know, Ashley's just like having all these other questions. And Cheryl is like, I don't know. I didn't ask her. Ashley says, are you kidding me? How can you not want to know everything about this? I'm fascinated. Did he believe he was a fork before he met her? Is this a fantasy they came up with together? Is this something only they do? Or is there a subculture of people diddling cutlery? I have questions. So many questions. And the tines? Ouch. I'm sure it was the other end. Oh, sure. What did they say? They didn't say, and I didn't ask. I forking would have. That gets a chuckle out of me. You're not being very fun with this. Blah, blah, blah. It's so cutie banter. It's so friendly. Whatever. And basically it ends with Cheryl saying, hey, so like, let's just say, you know, if Mercedes were to give you a cutlery piece of this, you would try it, right? Like, you'd have to, like, all joking aside, like, just, you'd have to do it just once, right? Like, just to see. I think the answer is yes. If there's all, like, maybe, I think I would have to. In chapter 8, back into Jack's POV, we're in, 2024. He's having this, like, a little bit of this, like, flashback thing of talking to one of the other super soldiers named Ray, who is, I don't want to say that, like, he's pretty violent. He had like a very, very terrible childhood, just like a very angry guy. And he continues to take these pills, and all of the soldiers decided that they would stop taking them because they believed that it induced like mind control or it was affecting them in some negative way. So all of them like banded together to stop taking them. But Ray has continued to, and so he's kind of like the odd man out troublemaker between the group, you know what I mean? And like obviously going through it. And so this is just an interaction between them that makes it clear that obviously Ray's not doing well, and that Jack is like the leader of sorts, and how much of like a good-hearted man he is, and he's just trying to protect his people, you know what I mean? And then he remembers being at this dinner and arguing with Ray and talking to Hugh and all this stuff happening, and then there was a flash and then nothing, and now this prison. There's a vibration of a voice. It's her, and I don't know what she's saying, but she's near. I call out to her. There's no response because I'm incapable of sound. I don't want her to feel this desperation for her presence. During much of my life, I've been closed off from the world, but never have I felt this overwhelming need for someone. She wraps herself around me, and I'm no longer cold. I'm held, caressed, and so turned on, the past ceases to matter. She's all there, and she's all there is, and she's all I crave. In chapter 9, you can guess what happens. She takes the spoon home. She gets freaky with it. Jack appears on top of her. Understandably, he's like, oh my God, who are you? And he says, I've never actually seen, because he's looking down at her breast, and he's been blind. And then after they had the experiments done on them, all of the men kind of decided that they would like not have relations after that, because they didn't know their own strength and they didn't want to hurt anybody. Oh, so they like took this like vow of celibacy for the last like couple of years of their lives as they were going through this like project thing. And so yeah, this is the first time he's ever seen a woman like in the nude. Oh. Anyway, so he's like, who are you? And she's thinking, and she's like, okay, if I was who, like, what would I want to know if I was him, right? So she says, my name is Cheryl Briggs. We're in my apartment. The year is 2024. You were accidentally turned into silverware, and I just freed you from that. What? He frowns, cocks his head to the side, and looks around as he absorbs the news. He's deliciously tense, every rock-hard inch of him. If I was asked to design a fantasy partner, he checked all the boxes. Big, strong, square jaw, dark hair, cut short, but with enough length on the top that flopped over onto his forehead. And those eyes, I've never seen any like them. They're two-toned with white flecks in them. Gorgeous. I could spend a lifetime staring into them. I tell myself he needs information and compassion more than he needs me to start humping his leg, but I'm fighting the urge to tear off his clothing and have a question-answer session later. And so the first thing that he really asks, he's like, 2024, 80 years? I've been gone for 80 years? She says, yeah. Is your name Jack Sully? And all he can say is, everyone I love is gone, aren't they? Yeah, probably. My friends, my mother, Farley. I promised that I would go back to them. I gave them my word. And poof, just like that, he's gone, and he has turned back into a spoon. He got so like emotional. And so she's like, okay, was not expecting that. And she was like, the scientist in her is trying to like put all of this stuff together about like why this would have brought him back and what would have made him like revert back into a spoon. And so she's like mumbling to herself, and she's like, whatever was done to the soldiers, it seems to reverse in response to the chemicals released in the male body during arousal, or pheromones. I need to look at this like an experiment and not an erotic dream. The first stimulus resulted in Jack appearing. Emotional distress resulted in him reverting back to a spoon. Replicating the process as exactly as I can is the only way to test this theory. So she goes back into the room, and she gets back down to business with the spoon, like recreates the scene perfectly. He comes back, wakes up on top of her yet again, and she says, Jack? Yes, sorry, I don't know where I went or how. From what I understand about this, you and your unit were changed into silverware at an award ceremony. Your physical state must somehow be linked to your mental one, because when you thought about the people in your past, you became a spoon again. A spoon? I don't understand. Try not to get anywhere. Try not to go anywhere, and I'll get you all the answers that you need. Why are we in bed together? It's the only way to bring you back. What's the only way? Being intimate with you while I'm a spoon? He frowns. He doesn't believe me, or at least he doesn't want to imagine that scene, and I don't either. This is not a conversation that I would imagine that I would have. Yes, this next part is so sad, because then he says, okay, so he goes back to this idea of the award ceremony. We were celebrating winning the war against Germany. Did we win the whole war? We did. How? When? Months after you disappeared, we dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan, and that ended the war. His expression fills with horror. The United States did? We made the atomic bomb and used it against a military base? He pales. Or civilians? Just above a whisper, I say, we dropped it on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. No! His head is shaking violently back and forth. We made sure the bomb would never be created. We gathered the scientists. I watch helplessly as he processes the role that he played in the horrific ending to the war, and he goes quiet and motionless for a moment. We gave our country what they said the world needed to be protected from, and they used it. His breathing became ragged. We didn't save anyone. And then he turns back into a spoon. What the Dude, this is the most, this book is crazy. This book is freaking crazy. So she decides to call Mercedes and she says, hey. Mercedes says, oh my God, is Jack there? She says, well, he was. What do you mean he was? Did you let him go? She's like, no, he turned back into a spoon, okay? I what do you want from me? And this is the point where Mercedes reveals that they don't have to be intimate. You can just yearn for the guy. It's like a strong emotional thing. Like you just need him enough, and you need to will it out of him, and he can just come back. You don't actually have to diddle your spoon. Cheryl's like, great, thanks. That would have been nice to know an hour ago. Mercedes says, well, if it helps though, Hugh says he can feel everything that I do to him when he's a fork, so Jack must too, and if you brought him back, that means he liked it. I sure hope so, because now I don't know how to ask a utensil for consent. We'll be right over. And so they rush over to Cheryl's apartment. In chapter 10, we're halfway through this book. I know, isn't that ridiculous? Halfway through the book, we're in Jack's POV, 2024. I don't know what's real and what's not anymore, nor do I understand how I keep returning to this place where I'm neither dead nor alive. And he's thinking about what Cheryl had said to him about everything. And he's thinking the irony of what Cheryl said was necessary to bring me back isn't lost on me. We died craving sex. Of course, that would be the power to reverse what happened to us. The universe sure had a twisted sense of humor, right? Because again, they had the whole celibacy thing for a couple of years. So anyway, she's able to bring him back. He wakes up in her apartment. This time, obviously she's clothed as well. And this time also Hugh and Mercedes are there. And so he greets Hugh and they're going through and catching up on everything that's going on. And he is amazed that Hugh has a fiance and that there's these women around. And he's like, what the hell happened? I thought we weren't doing anything with women. This is so crazy. He's immediately infatuated with Cheryl, especially upon hearing Hugh and Mercedes' story about how she saved him and it was this instant attraction, and he's feeling the same way towards Cheryl, but Cheryl doubts it, the scientist in her. She's like, well, it would make sense that you would have some crazy bond with whoever freed you from this prison, but essentially what this book really boils down to is she's like, I don't want it to be a technical thing. I want you to want me because you want me. I don't want you to want me because I saved you. You know what I mean? I don't want this weird link to be between us because of that, like me for me type of thing. It's funny, but the thing is that for him, he knows the truth. He knows that this is the only connection that he's ever feeling he's ever had for a woman like this, and she's all he wants. And I say that he has had partners before and relationships and hooked up with women previously. This isn't one-off thing. It's just insta love, but it's insta love done in a cute way, if that makes sense. I'm okay with it because it's so absurd. It's the same way I feel whenever we get into any of the monster type romances or this fated mates situation where I'm like, oh yeah, of course they love each other. Oh yeah, of course it's instant love, instant attraction. I'm fine with that, it makes sense. Of course he would be madly in love with this woman. In chapter 11, from Cheryl's POV, again, she's just having all this doubt about him being so obsessed with her and loving her and wanting her so quickly. She's like, this is so strange. Mercedes, keeps trying to reassure her, and she's like, you see how it worked for Hugh and I, and it is true love. You just have to listen to him. You have to believe him. Hugh and Mercedes appear happy, but have they considered how much danger they could be in? If Hugh and Jack were part of a government experiment, I bet what happened at the award dinner was deliberate. Someone tried to end the project permanently. Was it the US, a foreign country? 80 years is long enough for an individual threat to die off, but a government? No. They have long memories and enduring agendas. Another banger sentence. by the way. My friends and I hadn't been careful while researching Project Inkwell. None of us thought that there would be a reason to be. World War II happened so long ago. I need to tell my friends to stop looking into it until we know who we're dealing with. They'll have questions, and what can I tell them? In every movie, when someone reaches out to a friend with something like this, it always ends up with a betrayal that puts everyone at risk. Until now, my greatest concerns have been internal. Which job should I take? What do I want to do? Who do I want to please? What makes me happy? And now I need to know who I can trust. I have a circle of friends that I really enjoy, but how well do I really know them? We met in various college study programs. We've shared being drunk or sober, stressed, confused, inspired, entertained, but how would any of them respond to danger? I have no idea. I'd like to think Ashley and I are tight and would protect each other, but potentially getting messed up with some government cover-up isn't at all like backing down a sneering stranger. This is so funny. So she ends up like hyperventilating. She ends up like almost having a panic attack over this because she's like, okay, so let's say I choose to believe all this like spoon and nonsense, and I choose to fall in love with this super soldier and go along with all of this. Like, this is a crazy, dangerous situation. Like, we don't know what the hell we're dealing with, which I think is all very valid. This is a very valid crash out. Mercedes and Hugh had brought him like a passport. They brought him some money, a change of clothes. Like, they were expecting him. So they go through this whole prep thing. Hugh offers to hang back and like continue to help him. They give him like a cell phone, and he's like, hey, you want me to like show you the ropes? You want to like talk about things? And he says, no, like for real, guys, I need you to get out of here. I need to talk to Cheryl. Make sure that we're on the same page about some things. Okay. So they leave, and he's like, we need to work some things out. So they leave, and then Cheryl says, well, what do you want to do? Like in regard, and so they leave, they shut the door, and he says, what do you want to do? In regards to what? Us. Is there an us? We just met. It doesn't feel that way. I try not to have sex with men I hardly know. Well, that's a healthy goal. Is that difficult for you? I'm not a virgin, if that's what you're asking. Me falling to my knees, praising Jesus in a Target parking lot. Yes. She's not a virgin. Nor am I. Yes. And she's like, okay, well, public opinion of chastity has changed since your time. I see. How about monogamy? Has that value changed? I guess it depends on who you ask. The only opinion I care about on the matter is yours. Oh, then yes, it's still important. Good. Do you currently have a man in your life? I shake my head. Do you want one? I open my mouth to answer, but no words come out. Do I want just a man? No. Do I want this one? It frightens me how easy it would be to say yes. Yes to helping him. Yes to fucking him. Yes to putting my life and my friends at risk for him. I clear my throat and fight to remain logical about this. I don't know. That's fair. I like you. You seem like a good person. I realize, though, this is a lot for anyone to take in. If you want me to, I'll call Hugh and tell him to come back for me. Stay. I feel connected to you, Cheryl, in a way I haven't felt for another woman. I've tasted you, craved you, given myself over to the pull of you. Has it been the same for you? She's all like, stoic and like doesn't really know what to say to any of this. Too much too soon. I understand. We don't have to rush. Let's get to know each other. I have no idea how the world has changed or what I'll need to learn to fit in. I could sure use a friend to help me with that. Oh my gosh. It's just like, it's so cute and wholesome. And she's like, okay, do you want to go for a drive? I can like point some stuff out to you. And he's like, in a car? And she's like, yeah, in a car. And it's just cute. And so then they get in the car and they go for a little drive. And their flirting is just like, I just like it. I don't know. It's just cute. Again, this book is on Kindle Unlimited, spooned by Ruth Cardello. I honestly want to read more of her books. Like, I don't want to say her writing is like so good, because that's not what this book is intended for. This is all so much like shut your brain off, like, kick your feet and have a good time, which is so needed. And this is primo for that, dude. This is so fun. In chapter 12, they're going for a drive. So they're in the car and she's like, hey, you need to buckle up. And he's like playing dumb about knowing how to buckle up. So at first he's like, oh, I don't know how to use the seatbelt. So she like reaches over and helps him. And then she's like, oh, it looks pretty cramped. There should be some buttons on the side. It, kind of looks like a chair, and you should be able to move it around and get comfortable. He's like, oh, I can't figure it out. She ends up like leaning over him. You know what I mean? He cons her into leaning on top of him. And it's so cute. And then, they end up having a little moment and he like pulls her on top of him and she's like straddling him in the car and they're having this whole talk and she's like, we're just friends. And he says, friends don't have sex in 2024. Her mouth keeps opening and shutting like she has a lot to say, but keeps deciding against sharing it. She wants me, but she's not ready. I kiss her on the lips lightly, and then I lower her back into my lap. Talk to me, Cheryl. What do you want? She looks down at my chest long enough that I start to worry that I have offended her. When she speaks, it's in a low tone with her gaze still lowered. There's a high probability that everything you think you feel toward me is the result of a chemical reaction. It could be. Could be the same with you. You might really have a thing for spoons and any spoon will do. I could walk in on you one day in bed rolling around with a ladle between your legs. Okay, which is kind of funny. Kind of funny. And she's like, haha, not the case. He's like, are you sure? I'm sure. I'm just as sure that what I feel is specific to you. You're mine, Cheryl, and I'm yours. I don't know how or why, but the reason I don't care about your past is because I'm your future. What are you afraid of? Nothing. I was hoping that you'd be honest. I'm a well-educated, independent, modern woman. Nothing scares me. Except, all I'm saying is that you can keep that whole I'm yours and you're mine rhetoric to yourself. I don't need it or want it. Oh, okay. Independence is important to you. It is. I'll help you. I might even you, but I don't need you. I see. In this time, needing people is a bad thing? She gives me a long look, as if trying to assess if I'm mocking her or not. Yes? No? Often? Listen, I'm not a spokesperson for the entire human race. I only know my own experience and what I'm willing to risk. Risk? Her word choice was revealing. Because men have disappointed you in the past? Failed to protect you? Protect? Oh, Jack. The days when men protected women are far gone. I don't believe that. Well, I'm sorry to be the one to break it to you. If you fell down in the street, most people today would step over you and film themselves as they do it. Would you do that? She shakes her head. You believe you're the last good person on the planet? Of course not. Then maybe you shouldn't give up on humanity so easy. Or men. And it is a little bit more banter. It's a little bit more back and forth. And then they end up scurrying back up into the apartment to hook up. It's so cute. And so in chapter 13, that is exactly what they are planning on doing until her trauma comes and like kind of slaps her in the face, right? Because it was literally yesterday that she had this whole drugging incident thing happen. And so it kind of ruins this moment a little bit because she's like hesitant to approach him and he realizes what happens and like that there's like something kind of going on, and so he says, someone hurt you recently. No, you're lying to me again, or to yourself, and I can't tell which. It was nothing. Tell me. Don't what? I handled it. What did you handle? What happened, Cheryl? Who did this to you? Not my favorite trope. We're in Cheryl's POV, by the way. I don't think I said that. Shame floods in. I don't want to look him in the eye, but he holds my face immobile when I turn away. It was my fault. I shouldn't have gone to the bar alone. His hand tightens slightly on my chin. Tell me exactly what he did. He slipped a drug in my drink, and thankfully I knew right away and I confronted him. He took off, and the bartender helped me get into a car and take me home. His touch turns gentle. Where did this happen? I tell him the name of the bar. It's one I've been to a few times because it's near my apartment. Thankfully, nothing really bad happened. Bad enough. He drugged you and scared you. I went to the police about it, but I don't know if they found him or if he's out there drugging some other woman. I want to go back to the bar and make sure he's not still there, but you're afraid to. Not much of a badass, am I? My face tightens as tears threaten again, and I'm not a crier. I'm sorry. Don't be. He hugs her, and she says, you ever feel like there's two versions of you? Sometimes I feel strong, independent, and free, and sometimes I'm scared and alone. Hey, it's okay. He kisses my lips gently and then rests his forehead on mine. I get it. I might look calm on the outside, but I don't want to be a spoon again, and I don't know if I can control that. It must sound ridiculous. You're dealing with a lot, and I'm here all weepy over something that didn't even happen. Trauma's not a competition. Pain is pain. Stop being ashamed of feeling it, and don't allow it to isolate you. You're not alone anymore, Cheryl. If someone comes for you, they'll have to get through me. Oh. Sorry I'm reading so much. I just love this, I'm not going to say any more than that. I shiver as his words heal a part of me that I've been struggling with for a long time. A memory returns of being tormented in elementary school by a bunch of students who accused me of thinking I was smarter than they were. They made my life a living hell until I stopped raising my hand. Oh my God, I gave them the power to silence me back then. Then I let them shape almost every decision I made after that. Talk to me, Cheryl. What I just realized pours out of me. I don't stop until I share all of it. I've held myself back academically as well as socially. I gave them the power to define who I am. Jack listens without interrupting. When I finish, he tucks my head under his chin and murmurs, I know exactly how that feels. I guess comes the question that we need to ask ourselves. What will we become now that we're free of them? Less afraid. It's a good place to start. Oh my God. Oh my God. And so then it gets to be this like, sorry, I scrolled too far. It's this very, very cute moment where like they're about to get it on, and he's like, hey, I told you I've done this before, but I've never done this as a sighted man. So like I want to do this, but I want to do it like really, really slow and like take in like every inch of you and like every bit of this like experience. And so it's very tender, it's very romantic, it's very whatever. And you're just like, oh my God, like this is so, like there's so much happening here. And then all of a sudden, sorry. When they actually start to do it, it goes like off the rails so fast. I rise to my feet and do as he orders. He grips my hips and lifts me. I'm Superman flying in front of him with my legs around his waist. The whole time in my head, I'm like doing like gymnastics with these like stick figures in my brain, trying to imagine how this is all happening. I'm Superman flying in front of him. Crazy, dude. Anyway, it's great. Obviously, they get it on. Everything's cool. In chapter 14, it's Jack's turn to open up a little bit more, kind of emotionally, and talk about his past and, you know, joining the war. And she's like, hey, you mentioned like changing who you were to appease people. Like, what was it, like your blindness? Was it with the students that you went to school with? Like, what's going on? You know, is that why you signed up for the program? It was to like prove people wrong? And ultimately he's like, I thought serving my country would finally prove to my father that I'm good enough to be considered his first son. I chose chasing the approval of a man who never loved me over staying and caring for a mother who always put my needs before her own. Oh my God, dude. Again, I thought we were reading a lighthearted utensil romance. We are getting some like intense backstory stuff here going on. And so again, he just like opens up about his mom and his dad, and the next chapter actually gets like so sad, because then he's like, oh man, I really wish I knew what happened to all of them. And she's like, yeah, hey, like we can find out. It'll take like 5 minutes, like literally. And she like pulls out her phone and she's like, yeah, you remember like your phone, like Hugh and Mercedes gave you one. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you how we can look up your family. Oh my God. And that's what they do in chapter 15. In chapter 15, they look up his name. There's nothing. They can't really find any death records, or they can't find anything for him, like his, you know, Jackson Chatfield or whatever his original name, or Jack Sully. There's like nothing. But they look up his father. He died in a convoy explosion and is buried in Arlington. Relief visibly floods through Jack when we find discharge papers for his brother, and then a death certificate that's dated many years later. And we're both smiling when I'm able to find photos of his brother at his wedding, and even some with their mother. That's Farley, Jack says as he points to an older man who seems to be next to his mom in every photo. Who was he? More of a father to me than mine ever was. He took good care of my mother as well. I do a quick search and I bounce with joy. It looks like he married her. Jack grabs my phone and shudders. He married her. When he gives a sniff, I crane my neck to see his face. His eyes shine with emotion. Good for you, Farley. Good for you. He hands the phone back. They look up some other stuff, and his brother had 2 children, and they're both married and had children. Neither of them are still alive, but the kids are. So like, I guess like the grand nieces and nephews, you know, like they're still alive in Connecticut. And so there's a chance that they could go and like see them one day if he really wanted to. And he's like so thankful. But he's like, yeah, you know, hey, there's a lot of stuff that we have to do before we go and see anybody. And she's like, yeah, because, you know, we don't know if somebody wants you. Obviously, somebody wanted you dead before. They might want you dead again if they know that you're alive. You know, this whole thing. And he also goes on to say, but he's like, you know, maybe I earned the prison that I'm in though, right? Because we helped find all the scientists to build those bombs and we did all these bad things. Like maybe I'm where I should be, or at least used to be, you know? And she's like, you were lied to during an ugly time in history. You did what you thought you had to do and you did save us. We're still here because of men like you and the sacrifices you made. He's like, but at what cost? All those civilians. It's like just wholesome somehow. So then they watch a bunch of like history YouTube videos together and she explains about Kindles and reading and just looking at all this stuff and more bonding. And then we go into chapter 16. We only have 3 chapters left. Okay. And also if you're watching visually, yes, I have completely sunk down. I'm like essentially laying down while I film this last 3 chapters. And of course, if you're a regular of the channel, you've noticed the scenery change. I'm visiting some family, and isn't this so cozy? Now we're like, this really does feel like a FaceTime chat. Like it feels like we're video chatting or something. Just vibing, dude. So anyway, in chapter 16, Jack wakes up and chooses violence, like quite literally. He decides that he's gonna go and find that guy that drugged her at that bar and like get revenge, which again, I love. So he wakes up, he calls Hugh, has Hugh meet him outside and like leaves his phone behind because he doesn't want any evidence of any of this stuff, because she had made some comment about phones listening and the government knowing what you're doing and stuff. And in addition to like this little vigilante justice thing, he says also, I didn't sleep last night. Instead, I lay there thinking about how I'd gotten here and how Ray's last words at the dinner party, like to him, had been saying that he was sorry. I need answers from him as well as Hugh, but first I need to deal with the man who drugged Cheryl. Hugh's been here longer than I have. He'll know how to track him down. So that's exactly what they do. They go and track the guy. They go and beat him up. Everything's great. He and Hugh also have a fight about saving the rest of the soldiers and getting the rest of them out of the cutlery, because Hugh is kind of the opinion of like, hey man, everything's fine. We'll figure it out, but like life's kind of good right now actually, and we don't know how sideways it's going to be if we keep waking him up. Whereas Jack is like, no, like this is our new mission, is to save our guys, to, you know, no soldier left behind. We got to get them back. We got to do this. And when he tells Hugh about his, you know, plan for the day about getting this revenge on this guy, he kind of pushes back on it a little bit, because he's like, you can't do this, you know, da-da-da. He says, get that judgmental look off your mug. Your hands aren't any cleaner than mine because you've only acted when following orders. Evil is evil. I may go to hell for what I'm about to do, but I'm going to make sure that bastard is already there waiting to greet me. I love. And so Hugh is like, okay, well, I can't let you do this alone. So, okay, fine, I'm in. We'll find him. Yes, we will. And then we need to talk about who we should free next. No, not him, not yet. He knows something, Hugh. I feel it in my bones. And that's why he should be the last one we free. Well, I want answers. And he's like, we'll get them, but in time. We can handle them when we can handle them. And him being Ray, right? They're like, he's the craziest, most like extreme one, so they don't want to wake him up until they have the rest of the crew there to like help back them up and whatnot. So anyway, they go and fight this guy. Chapter 17. Cheryl's POV. I wake up alone, which shouldn't feel odd because it's how I always wake, but as the events of the last day fill my groggy mind, it's easy to wonder if any or all of it was a dream. Knowing my life, being drugged by a stranger at the bar, was probably the last thing that actually happened. What? Anyway, and then she's like sitting here in this like loneliness, unable to find him and thinking that maybe she's lost him somehow. The ache that fills me from imagining my life without him, it's beyond what I could express in words or justify if asked to. We bonded. He's not just my spoon. He's the only spoon I'll ever want in my mouth or anywhere else on my body. What? What do you mean, bestie? What are you talking about? And so she calls out of work that day because she's like, hey, I got a perfect attendance record. I don't want to deal with any of this. Like, everything's on fire. I can't get a hold of him. I can't get a hold of Mercedes or Hugh or Ray or Jack. Like, he left his phone. I don't know what's going on. She's like, I need a mental health day. She takes one. Ashley texts her and offers to come over and hang out. Ashley calls her immediately and she's like, do you want me to come over to you? Do you want to come over here? Are we watching old movies and pretending nothing happened, or crying and binge eating? I just need to know what to wear. I laugh. The rest of my life might be upside down, but I still have Ashley. I'm fine. I don't believe that for a second. You never call in and you've told me you don't believe in taking healthy days out. She knows me too well. I wanted time to work some things through. The job decision, I hadn't put much thought into that, but sure. It's a lot. I'm okay. As long as you're sure. Technically, I am working today, but I've trained my team to focus on the goals I meet and not how long my breaks are or aren't. There are strong scientific arguments for how dopamine can trigger creativity. She says, wait, explain to me exactly how that works. So she does. She explains dopamine. She's like, wow, this is so crazy. And she's thinking, and then she goes on to say, Cheryl does, it boosts testosterone production. The two are actually bi-directional when it comes to amplifying each other. When both are present, dopamine and testosterone, it creates a healthy feedback loop to the whole body. Testosterone diffuses through the cell membranes and binds to the androgen receptors. I remember this. And then the testosterone androgen receptor complex translocates into the nucleus of the cells. Oh my god, it can activate the genes into mRNA and stimulate the production of proteins. It's the dopamine that's the trigger. It has to be. The dopamine starts a chain reaction, sending out a message that every cell needs to change. Add that to whatever was done to make them heal quickly, and that's how they're changing back and forth. That's why they revert when they're sad. I can't believe it took me this long to figure out. She's cracked the code. She's cracked the codes about these silverware people. And so Ashley's like, hey, what are you talking about? Cheryl says, I'll tell you later. I need a deep dive into whatever research I can on this topic. You're a genius, Ashley. You may help a lot of people. And the chapter ends with her thinking, if things don't work out with Jack, I'd rather spend a lifetime alone than settle for less than what we have. And if he was ever mixed in with a pile of cutlery, I'd fuck 1,000. No, 1,000,000 spoons, if that's what it took to find him again. I hope that's not what it takes. What are you talking about? In chapter 18, from Jack's POV, later that day, Mercedes and Hugh are in the front seats of her car as they drive me back to Cheryl's. Right? They just came back from basically unaliving a man. And he comes back and they're all super happy. She greets them in the parking lot. And she greets them in the parking lot with the sheer happiness of them being there. Because she's like, I didn't know when I would see you again. And now I don't have to diddle 1,000,000 spoons. And then she's like, and Mercedes, you weren't picking up your phone. And they have this whole conversation. And so Cheryl, she apologizes to Mercedes for judging her so harshly about the whole silverware being people thing. And she says, today I had a lot of time to think about why I was having such a hard time choosing between the job I have and the job my parents want me to take. And do you know what I realized? I don't want to live in a world where only those two options are possible. I want to be surprised and challenged by things I don't understand. I want to do more than make money for people who are already rich. I want what life with Jack offers, whatever that is and wherever it takes us. It's so funny. And she goes on and she's like, I think I figured out how to change you guys back and forth. You know, we can talk about it over dinner. If you guys want to come in, we'll eat off of paper plates and eat with plastic spoons. So they go up there, but as they're doing so, Jack notices a black SUV slows down and parks across the street. I'm not sure why it catches my eye, but it does. There seems to be only one person in the car, the driver. As soon as I motion toward it, it pulls away and speeds off. I exchange a look with Hugh. If we weren't with the women, I would have taken off after it. He shakes his head ever so slightly, and I decide he might be right. It could be nothing. It didn't appear to be a police car. Hugh and I had done everything we could to avoid cameras, and we'd disposed of all evidence far outside of city limits. Still, whoever was in that car had hoped to watch us without being noticed. I didn't like that. Let's go inside, I suggest. And we go into chapter 19, Cheryl's POV, the final chapter of the book. Yes, this is a cliffhanger. Yes, we have to read the rest of the series. Don't worry, it's coming. You will have Knifed on Monday and maybe Serviced or whatever the fourth one is too, depending on how much I read this weekend. Okay, don't worry, I'm halfway through Knifed. You will get the rest of this. It is coming. It is coming as soon as possible. So, chapter 19, Cheryl. It's a lazy Sunday morning. Jack and Hugh are out for a jog, and I'm puttering around the spare room of the apartment, organizing all the lab equipment that we've recently filled it with. Because she took a job. She decided to stick with this other one, and she's loving life, and everything's so happy. And she does love Jack. She really does. As they've gotten settled, and everything's awesome. They worked through a bunch of stuff, and Hugh and Jack have come to the determined or realization or decision or whatever that it's time to wake up and the next man. Oh my god, I'm seriously just like sinking down. This is probably the closest that we've ever been in terms of like camera angle and comfort. I hope you guys don't mind this right now. This is true sleepover vibes. And so yeah, Hugh responded that it meant that it was time to bring another man back and asked if I knew anyone who might be willing. Jack asked Hugh who Hugh was considering. Hugh mentioned a man named Edward who he considered to be the smartest man in the unit. I was tempted to jump to Jack's defense, but that comment didn't seem to bother him. Jack doesn't measure himself by Hugh's opinion, and I respect that. Hugh doesn't know that Jack came from an upper-class background. He doesn't know that Jack had an Ivy League education or how well-read Jack is. Hugh's a good man, but he does take things at face value. He's most comfortable when he has a plan and is following it. Jack lets Hugh lead, but it's clear Hugh's influence over him only extends so far. My interest peaked when I heard Jack tell Hugh that he was right about not bringing Ray back yet. He said that there was still too many unknowns and Ray lacks the patience and self-control to hunt for answers in a way that wouldn't expose all of us to danger. So Ray, according to Jack, should be the last one that they set free. Knowing how Jack cares for Ray and how much Jack hates being a spoon, that had to be a difficult decision to come to. Hugh spoke about how careful they had to be when choosing which utensil to find a mate for. Some of the marks were similar enough to be confused. Not Ray's, though. His were covered with marks from years of abuse. And my heart was broken when Hugh said, just because I don't trust Ray, that doesn't mean I have no compassion for what made him the way that he is. I cut off my own finger in an accident. You were born blind. When you told me Ray's father was the reason he was wheelchair-bound before Project Inkwell, I understood his rage. But you were the only one who could convince him to contain it. Without you in the mix, I would have killed Ray or he would have killed me, and honestly, I'm not sure he wasn't responsible for what happened to us. So it's Jack and her and Hugh, and they're all like having this conversation and talking through all this and stuff, and all of a sudden her phone starts ringing, and it's Ashley, and so she picks it up, and Ashley says, "You are in so much trouble." I am. What did I do? I bet she found out I quit my job. I went to see Mercedes this morning because, well, she answers her texts. Anyway, I was thinking about what you said and how we were wrong about her, and so I offered her some muffins and some coffee as a little apology, and you're never gonna believe what she showed me. My mouth goes dry. What? Her silverware collection. Now I can't breathe. Did she? She did, and I thought she was crazy when she told me to run my hand over them and see if any of them called to me. I mean, it sounded insane. She's really persuasive, though, and you know I like to laugh, and so I did it, and you're not gonna believe I might pass out. What won't I believe? I left with a knife. Do you still have your spoon? I know I joked that you should play with it a little, but now I'm thinking there might be something to this. I can't even begin to describe how fucking attached I am to this knife. I'm back in my apartment and it's in my purse, but I keep thinking about it. Like, when I held it, I wouldn't tell anyone else this, but you know when the hero in a romance says, "Mine," and we melt? I swear on my life that I felt that knife say it to me. We need to talk. Is Mercedes some kind of witch? A hypnotist? Did I just join a cutlery cult? In a rush, I say, whatever you think you should or shouldn't do with that knife, Ashley, you shouldn't. You need to be really careful. No kidding. It's a dinner knife, but it's surprisingly sharp. Trying not to panic, I ask, this knife, is it covered with little marks? It is. Oh, God. Oh, God. You need to give it back to Mercedes right now. I don't want to. Ashley, you need to trust me. Do not fuck that knife. She laughs. Ouch. And of course I won't. What kind of freak do you think I am? Like, swear to me you won't. And she says, Ashley, I need you to like put the knife in your purse. Don't look at it. Don't touch it. Don't do anything. Meet me at the sandwich shop near your house, like right now. And they hang up and she immediately calls Jack because, right, he's hanging out with Hugh on this little run thing. And so she calls him. And the first thing, she blurts it out. And she's like, Mercedes gave Ray to Ashley. What? My friend Ashley has Ray. He's still a knife, but she has feelings for him already. And you know what kind of feelings I'm talking about. That's not good. I know. I'm heading over there now. I'll come too. Hugh stepped into the store to grab some water. As soon as he's back, I'll head to where you are. No, she doesn't know about you. I pull out of my spot and nearly back into a black SUV that looks like it's waiting for a parking spot, even though several are available. The driver doesn't react with any kind of road rage that I would have expected, but that's a good thing because I have so many more pressing things on my mind. Will Ashley believe me if Jack is there? I wouldn't have. Okay. I give Jack the address of the sandwich shop. You should come by, but Ashley doesn't know anything yet. This is going to be a shock for her. Why Ray? Of all the silverware, why would Mercedes choose him? She didn't choose him. Ashley did, or Ray chose her. I don't know. It'll be okay, Cheryl. It'll be okay, Cheryl. I'll make sure that it is. She backs out. She starts driving, and they're still talking, and he's like reassuring her, and they're cracking some jokes about like maybe getting some ice cream after all of this. And then I shoot through a yellow traffic light, and notice the black SUV goes through the red, almost as if it's trying to keep up with me. Jack? Yes? I think I'm being followed. Don't go to meet Ashley. Keep driving into the city. Don't take any side roads. I need a car of my own. I have your location on my phone. We're coming to you. Okay. After a moment, I say, Jack? Yes? Be careful. And that's the end. That's the end of the book. That's the end of this stupid book. This book is not stupid. It's actually like surprisingly good, and I'm like surprisingly on the edge of my seat. But I'm gonna leave you on that cliffhanger because that's where I am left on. And I'll see you in a couple of days with the next book. I'm so excited. Thanks for going on this utensil romance adventure with me. I'll see you later.